the story, we see a little girl named Yoseon who is studying in school. She is waiting outside the school for her mother. There, her mother calls and tells her that she won't be able to pick her up today. With no other option, Yoseon decides to go home on her own. Suddenly, it starts raining heavily, and just then, a black car stops near her. Yoseon saw a man sitting inside the car and silently got in without saying a word. When she arrived home, she was completely drenched from the rain. Her hair was messy, and her body was covered in dirt. Looking at her, it seemed like something terrible had happened to her. But the most shocking part was her mother's reaction. She was utterly terrified upon seeing Yoseon. She was so scared that she couldn't even gather the courage to look at her daughter. That's when we learn the chilling truth. Yoseon had died a week ago. And ever since then, she has been coming back home every day at the same time, in the same dreadful condition. After that, the story takes us 10 days back in time. In a large bag shop, the shop owner is seen watching TV. Through the news, we learn that there is a serial killer on the loose in the city who commits one murder every 10 days. It is also revealed that after killing the victims, the killer stuffs their bodies into a trolley bag and throws it into the water. Just then, a man named Seung entered the shop and bought a red trolley bag. But there was something strange about his behavior. Later that day, a pizza delivery boy named Song-yoon goes to deliver pizza to Seung's apartment. While handing over the pizza, he hears some unusual noises coming from inside the room, but Sang-yoon doesn't pay much attention and leaves after delivering the pizza. It is then revealed that Seung is indeed the serial killer who had kidnapped Yoseon. We learn that before committing each murder, Seung always buys a trolley bag and a pizza, a disturbing pattern that connects all his crimes. Yoseon repeatedly begs the killer to spare her life. She even pleads, promising that she won't tell anyone and will quietly return home. But the killer, cold and unfeeling, drags her away to finish what he started. He strikes her on the head with a heavy object, then stuffs her lifeless body into the same red trolley bag and throws it into the river. When this news was shown on TV, the shop owner recognized the red trolley bag. He started suspecting that the killer might be the same person to whom he had sold that red bag. Because of this, he thought about informing the police. But then his wife stopped him. She told him that bags like these are sold in many shops, and they shouldn't get involved in such trouble. After hearing his wife's words, the shop owner decided not to call the police. Meanwhile, the pizza delivery boy Sang-yoon is also reading the news online. It suddenly strikes him that Seung orders pizza every 10 days, just like the timeline of the murders. Suspicion begins to grow in his mind as well. On the other side, Yoseon's mother, just like every other day, hides under the table clutching a cross in her trembling hands, because her daughter's spirit returns home at the same time every day. Just then, her husband arrives at home. Seeing her in such a terrified state, he pulls her up and takes her into Yoseon's room. There, he tells her the heartbreaking truth, that Yoseon is already dead. Yoseon's father believed it was all just her imagination. He accused her of being a terrible mother, saying that she was trying to scare her own daughter by showing her a cross. In anger, he claimed that perhaps she had never truly accepted Yoseon as her daughter. Hearing his words, Yoseon's mother broke down in tears. She began to recall the moments she had spent with Yoseon. The truth was, Yoseon was not her biological daughter. After that, the story shows a man named Hyuk-mo, who also lives in the same neighborhood. One day, the police come and arrest him as a suspect in the murder case. His neighbors already look at him as a troublemaker and a gangster. The police suspect Hyuk-mo because there are already 6 or 7 complaints filed against him for assault. The police take his fingerprints and DNA samples, but then they release him. Before leaving, the police clearly warn him not to get into any more trouble. As soon as he steps out of the police station, he goes to meet a man to recover loan money and beats that man badly. Besides demanding the loan repayment, Hyuk-mo holds a deep grudge against this man. In fact, this man is his mother's brother, his own uncle. After Hyuk-mo's mother died, his uncle never came to see him, not even once. He didn't even attend his mother's funeral. Because of this, Hyuk-mo harbors intense hatred toward his uncle. After that, the story introduces 2 more characters, a security guard of the building and the head of the housing society, Tae-seon. All the social responsibilities of the building rest on Tae-seon's shoulders. She also has a daughter named Soo-yeon, who looks exactly like Yoseon. Taeseon is seen complaining to the security guard for not performing his duties properly. Some of the residents in the building have reported that someone is wasting large amounts of food and throwing it away. Taeseon instructs the security guard to investigate and find out who is behind this. After that, the security guard begins checking all the garbage bags one by one. While inspecting, he comes across the same wasted food bag, and inside it, he finds another black plastic bag. Inside that, he discovers a clue, an apartment number. It turns out to be the apartment of the killer. The guard gets an idea. He decides to blackmail the killer. He approaches him, offering to stay quiet in exchange for some money, pretending it's just for drinking. But the killer refuses to go along with it. Furious, the guard begins to open the plastic bag right in front of him. Inside the black bag, he finds Yoseon's school uniform. Realizing his secret has been exposed, the killer murders the guard on the spot. At that very moment, Yoseon's mother happens to enter the apartment. She is shocked and terrified to see so much blood in front of her. But then she notices a broken bottle of red wine spilled across the stairs. In reality, the killer had smashed the wine bottle to mask the blood stains, pretending it was just an accidental spill, so no one would suspect a thing. Like every night, tonight too, Yoseon came home in the same condition, which terrified her mother. The moment she saw Yoseon, she closed her eyes. Right after that, we are shown the events that took place that night. That night, as we know, Yoseon was going home in Seung's car. After reaching the apartment, Seung asked Yoseon to open the door of his house, and as soon as she opened it, the killer covered her mouth and dragged her inside. Yoseon was kidnapped right in the room opposite her own apartment. After that, she was murdered, and her body was taken out of the apartment and thrown into the river. But no one had even the slightest suspicion. On the other hand, delivery boy Sang-yoon keeps reading news about the same killer. While looking at a photo, his eyes land on a man wearing a black cap. Seeing him, Sang-yoon is slightly startled. He feels like he's seen this person somewhere before, but he can't quite remember where. Just then, he receives a call for a pizza delivery. And once again, he has to deliver it to the same apartment that belongs to the killer. While delivering the pizza, Sang-yoon starts glancing around the apartment suspiciously. That's when he spots the same black cap, deepening his suspicion even further. The next day, he visits the same bag shop to buy another trolley. Out of fear, the shopkeeper hurriedly stuffs the money into his pocket without even counting it. Watching this reaction, the killer starts becoming suspicious of the shopkeeper. The next day, the society head Taeseon notices that the day shift security guard hasn't shown up. So she instructs the night shift guard to take over his duties during the day as well. But working during the day isn't easy for that guard at all. While he's sitting in the office, another man tells him, "You never work during the day." He even questions, what if someone recognizes you in daylight? The reason why this security guard avoids working during the day is something that will be revealed at the end of the movie. In the next scene, Yoseon's mother is seen arriving at a garage to collect her car. The truth is, on the day of her daughter's disappearance, she couldn't come to pick her up because she had just bought a new car. Along with that, she had also picked out a cute little hairband as a surprise gift for Yoseon. She was planning to give her a surprise. That's why she told her on the phone that she wouldn't be able to pick her up. But in reality, she was on her way to do exactly that. While driving, the hairband slipped and fell. She lost control of the car, and a serious accident occurred. On the other hand, the night shift guard is now forced to work the day shift too. That day, he called the killer's apartment to ask why his water bill was so unusually high. But the killer didn't respond, and abruptly hung up the phone. A little while later, the society head Taeseon went to the killer's apartment to personally invite him to a building meeting. As soon as she entered, she noticed the extremely bright lights on inside and instinctively turned them off. Seeing the disheveled and suspicious state of the apartment, she began inspecting the place thoroughly. Realizing this, the killer decided he needed to kill her as well. But just then, Taeseon casually mentioned over a phone call that she was currently in apartment 102. Hearing that, the killer hesitated and lowered his weapon, because if she were to go missing or die, the police would come straight to his unit for questioning. At the same time, the security guard called the killer's phone again. This time, however, the phone began vibrating and accidentally slipped into the trolley bag, the very one containing the dead body, and the lid shut and locked itself. Seeing his phone locked inside the bag with a corpse, and without knowing the unlock code, the killer began to panic. Left with no other option, He called the same bag shop owner and asked him for the unlock code. The shopkeeper calmly told him that the default code was 000. The next day, while walking down the street, Yoseon's mother suddenly caught sight of Sooyeon and froze in fear. Sooyeon quickly ran to her and tried to calm her down. When the two arrived at their apartment, the killer saw them and panicked instantly. His mind went blank. How could someone he had killed with his own hands still be alive? As Sooyeon was about to leave, Yoseon's mother noticed the man staring at her with an intense, unsettling gaze. His strange behavior only deepened her suspicions about him. While Sooyeon was on her way back, she found the old security guard's glasses and handed them over to the current night shift guard. Upon seeing the glasses, the man sitting in the guard's office remarked, "These belong to the old guard." Suspicious, the security guard decided to go check the pipes in the killer's apartment. However, the killer didn't let him in and said he would be moving out in a few days. The inspection could be done then. The killer's strange behavior only deepened the guard's suspicions. The guard firmly stated that, as per building regulations, a full inspection by all technicians must be carried out before the tenant vacates the apartment. Hearing the guard's words, the killer began to panic. He realized that if so many people entered his apartment at once, his secret would undoubtedly be exposed. So, to avoid that, he immediately opened the door and allowed the guard inside. In the apartment's bathroom, the guard didn't notice any leaks. But when he went down to the basement bathroom, the scene turned absolutely horrifying. All around, there were blood splatters, human hair, and pieces of flesh. It didn't take long for the guard to realize this was the killer. As soon as that became clear, the guard grew alert. The killer lunged toward him to attack, but the guard quickly grabbed a nearby weapon. Sensing the guard's alert posture, the killer paused. Something about the guard's expression told him this wouldn't be an easy fight. Fear crept into the killer's eyes, and he instinctively took a step back. When the guard left his apartment, the killer finally felt at ease. From that day onward, he began observing the guard from a distance. One day, Hyukmo arrived at the apartment in his car and started beating the killer brutally because the killer had parked his car in Hyukmo's designated spot. After so many things started happening at once, the killer decided it was time to leave. His true identity was beginning to come to light. He went to his work agency and asked for a job in another city. He decided that he would leave exactly 2 days later. But before leaving, he planned to get rid of the bag shop owner because he suspected the shopkeeper might have figured out his real identity, and there was a chance he could go to the police as well. Using the shopkeeper's phone, he called Hyukmo so that if the police investigated the case, they would find Hyukmo's number on that phone and blame him for the murder. After that, he kidnapped the shopkeeper too, and just like before, he ordered a pizza before committing the murder. When Sang-yoon delivered the pizza, he noticed bloodstains on his hands. When he checked the money, there was blood on that too. His suspicion was now turning into certainty. He decided to keep an eye on the killer's apartment from the outside, but the killer sensed something was off and ran to the window. Fortunately for Sang-yoon, the guard arrived just in time and saved him. After that, Sang-yoon told the security guard the whole truth and asked him to report it to the police. But the guard panicked as soon as he heard the word police and refused to inform them. He told Sang-yoon that if his suspicion turned out to be wrong, he could be jailed for giving a false statement. At midnight, the killer called Hyukmo and told him to move his car. When Hyukmo came out, he saw his car was parked in the right spot. Just then, the killer came out of the darkness holding a metal rod and tried to attack him. But Hyukmo turned the tables and began hitting the killer repeatedly with the same rod, so much that the killer ended up grabbing his feet and begging for mercy. But all of this was part of the killer's plan, and in the end, it worked. In reality, he had intentionally gotten beaten up just to get Hyukmo's fingerprints on the rod. Although the killer hasn't killed the shopkeeper yet, there's a big reason behind that too. The next morning, the killer is preparing to leave his apartment, and before leaving, he decides that he will kill Sooyeon. So, from the morning itself, he begins following her. As usual, Sooyeon goes to the security guard, as they have developed a strong friendship. Every day, she gives him bread from her school, and the guard accepts it with a smile, even though he is allergic to bread. He stores all the bread in his fridge instead of eating it. He deeply cares for Sooyeon. There, he also notices the killer following Sooyeon. Seeing this, He questions her if she usually returns home alone. Soo-yeon tells him that her mother always comes to pick her up from school. The guard warns her not to come home alone under any circumstances. After Soo-yeon leaves, the killer starts tailing her in his car. Yoseon's mother also sees this, and her suspicion now turns into certainty. Meanwhile, the security guard also starts preparing to leave the place. The man who shares the office with him questions if he's really going to leave. He reminds him that the dangerous killer is now targeting Soo-yeon. The man tells him he should kill the killer. After all, he has killed before. This is when we learn the shocking truth about the guard. The man we always see with the guard in the office, the one he constantly talks to, he's actually already dead. In reality, the guard had killed him around 14 years ago. The man is his ghost, and only the guard can see him. The guard then says, only 5 months are left, and he doesn't want to get into any more trouble. Actually, in Korea, the statute of limitations is 15 years. If someone commits a crime and isn't caught within 15 years, they can't be punished for it afterward. That's why the guard just wants to stay hidden for 5 more months. In the following days, the police once again arrested Hyukmo because they found the same rod at the crime scene, which had fingerprints on it. But this time, Hyukmo's uncle came forward as a witness and testified that Hyukmo was with him that day. Afterward, his uncle revealed the truth. At the time of his sister's demise, he was completely bankrupt. He was running from people, hiding in shame. That's why he never checked on Hyukmo and couldn't even attend his sister's funeral. After learning the truth, Hyukmo forgave his uncle. On the other side, just like every day, Yoseon's spirit returned home at the same time in the same state. But today, her mother wasn't scared upon seeing her. Earlier that day, she had noticed something in Yoseon's room, a calendar where Yoseon had marked her stepmother's birthday and written stepmother's birthday. But the word stepmother was covered by a small piece of paper, and behind it, she had written mom. While alive, Yoseon had tried many times to call her stepmother mom, but could never bring herself to say it out loud. After reading this in Yoseon's diary, her mother was no longer afraid of her daughter's spirit. Seeing her daughter in front of her, she hugged her tightly and cried her heart out. The things she never understood while her daughter was alive now filled her with deep regret after death. Meanwhile, the shopkeeper was desperately trying to save his life. Hearing a phone ringing from inside a black suitcase, he began struggling with all his might to open it. It was pouring rain again that night, and seeing the rain reminded Yoseon's mother of the morning she had seen the killer following Soo-yeon. It was on a rainy night like this that she had lost her own daughter. But this time she wasn't going to let anything happen to Soo-yeon. Taking an umbrella, she rushed straight to the bus stop. There, she saw Soo-yeon standing alone, being followed by the killer. She took Soo-yeon with her and began walking back home. But even then, the killer didn't stop following them. Meanwhile, the shopkeeper finally managed to open the suitcase and took out the phone. The battery was low, so he quickly redialed a random number and asked for help. Fortunately, the call reached the same delivery boy, Sang-yoon. Without wasting time, Sang-yoon rushed to the killer's apartment. Soon after, the entire city experienced a power outage. At that very moment, with the help of his uncle, Hyukmo managed to escape from the police station. Back at the apartment building, the security guard was also preparing to leave, but when the lights went out, he returned to the building. He anxiously asked Soo-yeon's mother if Soo-yeon had come home, and when he heard she hadn't, he completely broke down. Soo-yeon's mother began crying, overwhelmed with fear for her daughter. On the other side, Yoseon's mother and Soo-yeon were hurrying through the darkness to get home. But while running, Yoseon fell and injured her knees so badly that she couldn't walk anymore. Soo-yeon's mother didn't know what to do in the pitch-dark night. Confused and helpless, she stood in the middle of the road, causing a traffic jam as cars came to a halt. Seeing the crowd, the killer had no choice but to retreat. When he returned to his apartment, he saw the shopkeeper trying to escape. The killer now planned to burn him alive, but just then, the pizza delivery boy Sang-yoon and the security guard arrived outside his apartment. As soon as the door opened, they both started attacking the killer. At the same time, Hyukmo also arrived. Realizing how his fingerprints had ended up on the metal rod, he joined in and began beating the killer violently. The guard then demanded to know where Soo-yeon was. The killer laughed and said he didn't know. Maybe he had killed her, maybe she was still alive. Hearing this, the guard was devastated. He broke down in tears, losing his mind. Then he saw a dead body lying nearby. Thinking it was Soo-yeon's, he picked up a weapon and killed the killer in a rage. But then he noticed the body wasn't Soo-yeon's. It was actually the same man he had killed 14 years ago. His ghost had taken Soo-yeon's form to finally get revenge. Because even after committing that murder, the guard had never been punished. No one had seen him kill. But once again, the guard didn't face any consequences, as everyone helped cover up the crime and removed him from the crime scene. On the other side, Soo-yeon's mother still believed that Hyukmo was the killer. She grabbed him by the collar and demanded to know where her daughter was. Just then, Yoseon's mother arrived, bringing Soo-yeon with her. She couldn't save Yoseon, but today she saved another